Let's see. Is my audio coming through now? Let me know. Can y'all hear me now? Okay, awesome. Sorry. I was recording a video last night and I didn't put my XLR cable back attached to my PC. I thought it was connected. Um, Now I'm growing my hair out. Reese, I'm growing my hair out. The same way, like, I don't see why not. I'm not one of those people that has an issue with like braiding your hair because it's a protective style at the end of the day. Interesting question, yeah. But I mean, hey, it's worthwhile. Bro, that game was wild. That game was wild. The first half obviously looked really good. The second half was a little bit rough, more so on the offensive side of the ball, but not really. The defense looked really good all throughout it. So we can appreciate that. But offensively, it got a little rocky during the third quarter. And then at the beginning of the fourth, I didn't like having Jordan Clarkson on the floor as long as we did. He did finish the game with, he was 30 minutes. He had 30, almost 34 minutes. He was 4 of 13 from the floor overall. In that second half, it was getting ugly because he was shooting bad. Colin was shooting bad, though. Colin had that one time where he strapped up on Paul George. That he got that backcourt turnover. That energy was like almost Patrick Beverly tier, like just really dog type energy. And that's what Colin Sexton brings, even when he's not hitting his shots. But seeing that happen was crazy. One talking point we need to talk about is if we can beat the Suns. I thought no, but Beal is out and Booker is doubtful. Tayton, that's a good point. I'm not gonna lie. If they come out playing like they played today, specifically on the defense side of the ball, they can afford themselves a lot of offensive mistakes against the Suns team that, no offense to them, but their defense just isn't that great. So it is a much more winnable game. Now seeing how this is how they should have came out playing that first game of the season. Now, obviously, there was a lot of adjustments, and it was really the first serious game that this unit has ever played together. So there was a lot of stuff to go over for them. But I guess something over that film review just really resonated with everybody. Oh yeah, man, for sure. No problem, Jordan. Let's see. Hardy did change rotation, not starting five, but after that he did. I also like Kelly Olynyk more and more every time. Bro, Kelly Olynyk. Now, obviously, this team goes as far as Larry Markkinen can carry it. That being said, Kelly Olynyk's importance to this roster cannot be overstated because, and I know I made a video talking about should they trade him? Does he have more value on the team versus if they trade him? Obviously, they could get stuff for the future if they traded him. But I knew he could kind of shoot. But back-to-back threes, one falling out of bounds, one literally dead sprint, stopping on a dime on the right wing, hitting the bottom. Everybody can't do that, especially not everybody at his height. Like, that's a shot that Kevin Durant takes on the regular, and you just say, oh, that's KD. You don't see Kelly Olynyk shoot that shot and him hit it. That was ridiculous. And then let me see here. He only had 3 assists. I don't know. It felt like he had more. He was making great passes. Now, Taylor Horton Tucker, I gotta give him a little bit of praise. I do talk a little bit of trash about him, but he did end up having 8 assists. So got to give him a little bit of praise right there. That being said, he did shoot 3 of 10 from the floor, so I'm still kind of hating, I guess. John Collins, oh yeah, for sure. He was only 4 of 11 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3, which wasn't exactly great considering how he looked last game. But he hit all 4 of his free throws, which is what when they came, we really needed them. He had 12 boards overall. So did Lowry. Walker only played in 21 minutes, and he did hit one of his threes though. The other one rimmed in and out. The thing about Lowry, and I think that having Kelly Olynyk on this team does a lot for him specifically because he needs to become a positive shooter. Because you see how well Kelly can hold his own now on defense. Like in game 1 in the first half against Sabonis, he held Sabonis to single figures. I want to say he had 8. He has 7 or 8, I believe. But while his defense isn't always the best and he's not particularly a rim protector, he moves very well, particularly on the perimeter. So you can switch him on guards and he's really usable. And the fact that he has that extra passing sense that most bigs don't have, and particularly he kind of offsets what Lowry doesn't do well. Lowry is not a playmaker for his teammates, but he can get a bucket on his own very well, despite the fact that he's in this weird like middle ground where you have to sometimes you have to pass him the ball, other times he can bring it up his own. It's kind of like a interesting dynamic that he has going on with his play style. But when you have him on the court with Kelly Olynyk, it looks really good. Let me see. Um, we're still figuring out so many kinks this season. It's definitely not going to be boring. Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. And as long as everybody stays healthy, it's going to be really fun to watch. And I think that's the biggest thing. Kelly, all the intangibles. I agree. I agree. Does this all the time. The thing is, Tayton, like, I'm with you because I've seen Kelly Olynyk do it on obviously when he was with the Celtics and whatnot. Or not the Celtics. What am I thinking of? I've seen him do it in the past, but I haven't seen him like this clutch. Like this is a different type of Kelly Olynyk. Like, yes, can he do this in the second quarter? Yeah, I believe that. But in the last 2 minutes, when your team needs a bucket, and you have Lowry Markkinen, you have Jordan Clarkson, you had at one point we had Chris Dunn on the court, which I think was a much needed switch because Keontae was low key getting a little bit of catching a little bit of work. I want to say Powell hit a three right on his head, like in the corner. Or no, it was Batum. It was Batum who hit that three. Hey, what's up, Lee? Hey. But I think Keontae did need a little bit of valuable minutes, but this was such a winnable game. I love that they switched him out for Chris Dunn. He did get called for that one foul where Powell pump fakes, he doesn't jump, and then he drives baseline. He got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. That was a little bit rough. But overall, Chris Dunn really slowed down the offense. And when he has the ball in his hands in late game situations, I trust the decisions he makes. He didn't shoot well from the floor this game. Obviously, he was 2 for 7, and he didn't hit, and he was 0 for 4 in the first half, but he was 2 for 3 in the second half. He only shot 2 threes, and he had 3 assists. He wasn't like too costly in his negative moments. And when it came down to it, when they played him in that last 3-minute span, he really came alive when they needed him to. Let's see. Sorry, I just started rambling. That was a crazy difficult shot by Clarkson too. Yes, Clarkson had some. He was letting them hang today because he was not hitting well. Before that shot, he was 3 of 12. That is 25%, isn't it? Yeah, that's 25. No, that's worse than 25%. And I mean, still finishing the game 4 of 13 isn't much better, but he was 3 of 5 from 3. So for him, that was a run of the mill shot because even if he misses it, he's 2 for 5 on the game. But his overall shooting was just bad. Every time he drove to the rim, he wasn't getting terrible misses. He just didn't have the touch on the ball to actually get it to go in because I think it rimmed out twice and it just bounced off the front iron a couple times. Ain't hate if he just garbage. Facts. Oh, Mitch, what's up, boy? Man, look. Clarkson had no fear. Love to see it. Yeah, that's a ballsy shot. But that at the end of the day, that's why you re-sign him for 3 years. What is it, 48 million? At the end of the day, if you're gonna bring somebody in, if you're gonna keep somebody from 2 years ago, back when you had your old era, he has to be able to fit in with the new guys and bring something that the new guys don't always have. And that clutch mentality, Jordan Clarkson is always gonna be willing to shoot that type of shot. Is he always gonna make it? Not necessarily. He's been known to be streaky. He has really great games and he has really rough games. Like last game, he had 24. Admittedly, most of them came in the second half when things were really like not wide open, but when you're already down 15 and you end the game losing by almost 15, when you lose by 16, I think it was 130, 114. It's doesn't his points didn't move the needle. This time, obviously, that 3 moved the needle because that put them up and gave them just enough breathing space to where the Clippers have to hit a 3 to win or have to hit a 2 to tie the game and take OT, which puts the Clippers in a very rough predicament because they sat Paul George on the bench for a minute there in the middle of the fourth, and then they had Bones Highland in, and then they made the switch Bones Highland for Paul George at the 6-minute mark, and it didn't really push the needle, which I really loved. Kelly is the best part of our bench. Let me see the bench today. Oh, well, they ran the same lineup. So today, undoubtedly, yes. In these 2 games, yes, undoubtedly. Shout out Keontae George going 2 for 3 from his 3-pointers. He looks confident, and that's what you need out of him. Let's see. Jazz had great communication on the defensive end and great win on defensive play. Yes, definitely. Jordan Clarkson actually had a couple possessions where he was guarding Kawhi and he was not backing down. And I love that for him because for somebody that's historically known as not giving effort on defense, he has to play well on defense. And it's not so much like Colin Sexton gets a lot of slack because he's just little. He has a bulldog mentality, but he's like all of 6'2", maybe 6'1" and a half, and his wingspan isn't terribly long. So you saw a lot of possessions in the game where it happened, I believe, on Norman Powell at one point, hand in his jaw, but he just hits the shot because Colin is just little. Like he can play every play to his best ability, and sometimes it's just not going to happen. But for Jordan Clarkson, if you're going to be a streaky shooter, but you're the starter and you're one of the veteran presence on the team, you have to be able to be a bulldog on defense. Even if you don't always get a stop, you have to make it hard for whoever you're guarding, especially if you're streaky. And tonight he was streaky. And to his credit, he did play really solid on the defense side of the ball and he did rotate well. THT wasn't terrible in rotation, but there was a couple times where I believe it was Lowry was on the wing, or it might have been Kelly Olynyk actually, and he tells him to drop, and he does not listen. He stayed high. Now the Clippers didn't recognize and punish us for it, but it ultimately did have a little bit to do with obviously the end result. Mm, let's see. Keontae played better D than Dunn tonight, I thought. Really? That's interesting. Dunn did get exposed a little bit, but I loved how he read the play where we ended up getting that steal and he leaked out. I didn't even realize he was that far behind because I knew it was a risky pass once they threw the full court pass or three-quarter court. But when he was down there, I didn't realize he was that close to the Clippers rim. And he punched that home, and we needed those 2 points. Especially he needed those 2 points because he wasn't shooting well from the floor, and he only hit 2 shots in the game. So yeah, he needed that one specifically for him personally, and then it also helped the team stay in that within striking range of closing it out. I trade THT and Sexton and open more minutes for Abaji and Keontae George. Okay, I see what you're saying. This is a family show. Okay, THT is on the fringe for me. Now, I still lean towards trading him. Did he have 8 assists today? Yes, I have to give it to him. He played better today than he has in past times. That being said, I can't really give him much to the benefit of the doubt because on defense, he still wasn't great. He was better than he was the first night, but a slight improvement on poor defense doesn't make it great defense. You can go from good to kind of better, or you can go from better to even betterer, but from abysmal to bad isn't really good enough for me. I don't know. He was 2 for 5 from 3 though. Admittedly, that means he was 1 for 5 in his inside the 3-point shots, his interior shots, which isn't ideal. Let's see. And then Sexton obviously didn't have a great. Well, no, it actually wasn't terrible for him. He was 5 of 12 overall. I didn't realize that. 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 1 board, obviously no assists. But Colin brought that energy today, and I loved it. Even though he didn't hit all his shots, I felt like him shooting and just him on drives, he wasn't as out of control as he was that first game of the season. That first game of the season was a little bit rough just because it's not so much that he was foul baiting because obviously they were playing against a very physical Sacramento Kings team. But when you're not getting a foul call, you can't try and sell a foul because the refs aren't going to give it to you. And that's what he tried to do a little bit too much in that game. And I saw a little bit less of it this game, despite him still being decisive in his motions, which I appreciated. And he only played 19 minutes, 19 and a half minutes. So that's something we can live with for now. Maybe start Sexton. I want to see Dunn. I want to see Dunn start before I go Collins route. I feel like if Collins starts out the game, he'll have a much better overall game. That being because I just don't feel like he feels comfortable coming off the bench yet. That being said, I think Dunn is probably the better player to have. At least let Dunn fail. If you let him fail and then that's what it is, then that just is what it is. But I feel like he deserves the opportunity to fail. Towards the end of the game, the Jazz field goal percentage was 47. The Clippers was 64. Woo! Thank you for that number, Lee. Goodness. Because I remember at one point I thought they were shooting like low 30s in the at one point during the fourth quarter. I heard the announcer say. So defensively, they weren't terrible, but it was just that the lineup that they ran was getting exposed by Norman Powell, which was kind of what happened in the first half with Harrison Barnes last game, except for Harrison Barnes was hitting open shots. Norman Powell at sometimes was at the right spot at the right time, but other times he was just had a favorable matchup and he won the matchup every time. So he recognized that he had to be the person that had the easier matchup, and he just made sure that he made it a point to win it every single time. Whereas you had Kawhi and Paul George as sometimes being properly double teamed. That was another thing. The double teams looked really smooth. There was a lot of communication on defense, and not too many guys got caught in dead space, like in no man's land. Everybody knew where everybody was. It was incredible. Love the defensive win. Yes, sir. Nail better at the end. Great win by the Jazz. I loved it. It was fun to see the Jazz crowd going crazy. Oh, yes, for sure. It was live in there. I think people are too worried about who's starting. Will Hardy will like to be able to have multiple guard combos for different scenarios. I agree. Yes. That being said, I need to see a strong. Now, this game, it didn't really matter because they obviously started out so strong that Taylor Horton Tucker playing 26, 27-ish minutes wasn't a negative. Sexton caused 1 8-second violation in the backcourt on Paul George. It was a great effort. Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. I loved it. And he got hype afterwards, and the bench got hype. Like, that's that energy, that grit, because Sexton wasn't shooting terrifically from the field, but he's giving all his effort on defense. And when he makes even a couple of those plays a night, that energizes everybody else, because if you're not feeling well, or if you are in a drought and you can't get something going on offense, but you can make a good defensive stand, even just one time, it can kill a run, and then you feel more comfortable going forward into that next possession. Who's my favorite team? I'm not gonna lie. I haven't This is the first year where I'm consistently watching a specific team, and it's going to be the Utah Jazz, obviously, because of you guys, and then also just because I love the individual stories of each player, which put me into it. I live in Charlotte, so being a Hornets fan obviously was not the most loving thing I could do growing up. Katie and Keontae together are revelation. That's interesting. I see what you say. I see what you're saying, Lee. Worried about sophomore stunts from Ochai and Walker. Walker shows me a little bit of concern, just a little bit right now. And then Ochai, because of the type of role that he has, and because of how full the backcourt is, his minutes are going to be few and far in between. Today he played 12. Obviously, 2 of his shots were threes because he's more of the three-point taker. He did have 2 assists, a board, and a steal. So he's solid defensively. So they'll always find minutes. Will Hardy will always find minutes for him, just because you can put him on the court, and even if he's not hitting his shot, he's not going to sell you on defense and give up a bucket. That being said, that's the main reason why like a trade might be required. Yo, I'm back. I'm hyped. Oh, what's up, T Simp? Yes, sir. Kessler kind of disappeared tonight. Yeah, he did only play 21 minutes. Sexton had great energy and great defensive presence, and the communication from him on the court was on point, especially when they played zone. Yes, when they go into zone, that's the one thing about zone defense is like, especially at the NBA level, because yeah, it works at high school and middle school. Because if you get caught out of rotation, it's not going to be that costly because not everybody can hit that shot. But when you have professional players that do this for a living and you're playing a good team, giving a wide open shot to somebody that shoots even 34% from 3, that's a bucket. And when they do miss, you wipe your eyebrow because you're like, I messed up. I made a miscue. I can't let that happen again, because they will at some point make me pay. And tonight they did a really great job communicating and making sure that all their holes were sealed. Now they did give up a couple open ones, but it was not anything close to what we saw in that first half last game. It was night and day. I like Keontae. Yeah, he got some valuable minutes right there at the end. Will pulled him at the right time. I will say that, because I was on the fringe about like, do we want to leave him out here when he wasn't getting cooked on defense, but he was having an out of body experience. It was like a little welcome to the NBA thing, because it was a tight game. You can't afford a mistake, and he hasn't been shown so far, even in the preseason, to be like completely solid. And the fact that even when he makes a mistake, he won't put his head down. Now, last game, he did show a little bit more confidence, but particularly today, we saw a lot more confidence out of him, which I appreciated. And when you have so many guards in the backcourt and so many guys that you can pull from, and so many guys that can assist you, that also alleviates some of that stress as a rookie, because if you make a mistake, you're probably going to have he's probably going to have Chris Dunn on the court with him. He's probably going to have Jordan Clarkson on the floor with him. And one thing about Jordan Clarkson is he gonna shoot the rock. So if you see Keontae George get exposed on defense, Jordan Clarkson can do much worse with the shot that he takes on offense. Now, he put him up the game. Shout out to Kelly Olynyk for putting him in that position to make that play, but he made the play. So I can't get on Jordan Clarkson right now because I owe part of the win to him. Um, I don't know how to feel with Kelly in the lineup instead of Walker. Instead, Kelly was unstoppable. Kelly, he brings a playmaking element that Lowry doesn't have, and because he also has the element, he plays over Walker. Now they did get exposed on drives a little bit today at certain points, and that's how Powell really ate, and that's where we really hurt by not having Walker in the game. But I do see what you're saying. Jazz play a lot better as a team. Defense was a lot better. Offense, they actually passed the ball. It was nice to see because Lowry was not as good if there's not ball movement. Correct, because he can create his shot for himself. But when he gets into more of an ISO one-on-one situation, even when they throw double teams at him, as long as there's guys that are moving, he can make an easy pass. And then if the ball makes its way back to him, he can find his own bucket. Dunn's got a clean up turnover, but by first our best defender. Yeah, I've never seen him being this type making these types of turnovers. I think it's a chemistry thing right now because like when he really got his minutes, they had shut down their main pieces at the end of last year because they recognized that there wasn't really a need to make a playoff push. So I think it's more of like a once he gets on the same page, he's really going to be worth playing. But right now, it's him not being on the same page where he makes a pass where like I see the vision, but there's no connection right there, and that's the problem. Um, let me see. Let me see. RD was way better this game than against teams. Most definitely. Most definitely. Everything and everyone was better tonight than Wednesday's game. Do I agree? Do I agree? For the most part, John Collins shot a little worse, but overall, John Collins on the floor was a great player. So I can't even knock it. I can't even knock it. I'm with you on that. Let's see. W bro, love you, Jazz fan for 18 years here. Oh yeah, you stay there too. Yeah, I remember. Hayward needs to retire to play. Mike, I live like 30 minutes away from the Delta Center, and I go to a lot of games. Okay, bet. KP, that's interesting. That's interesting, Tate. That's interesting. I wish I lived that close. I live in Idaho, just barely outside of the Jazz Market area. Oh man, I mean, I'm in Charlotte, so I'm a little further away than you. I'm gonna have to take a plane to get over there. The Jazz got me free tickets. They got you free tickets. How you get free tickets? I'm in Boise. How do you watch the games? Goodness, that's crazy. Spread the good word. You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir. We're here. We're here. I'm in SoCal. Only save up to go one game a year, and there's nothing wrong with that because I just hope that the game that you do go to each year is a good game, win, lose, or draw. You know, as long as you enjoy the time that you go there, it makes the money worth it. That's all. Yeah. Hey, anybody in the chat that's not subscribed, please subscribe. I appreciate it. I love the support, man. Last stream went pretty well. It went a lot better than I thought it would. Hey, you guys, you're still salty. I'm leaving. Leave. Jazz Plus comes with 2 free tickets to a game, so I went with my brother. Oh, I did not know that. So you gotta let that go. Love Sexton and Collins hustle. Yes, that's the thing. Like Lowry, Walker, Olynyk, they play solid defense. They don't make costly mistakes in any way, shape, or form for the most part. But more specifically, like when you look down this roster and you see John Collins, you see Colin Sexton, you even see Abaji, and you see Chris Dunn. Those guys are going to give you 110% on defense because they're not always going to have it together on offense. And even when they're having an okay game on offense, they want to be even better than that. And so having that extra defensive element, they understand that playing great defense keeps you on the floor. I can't pull you off the floor if you're missing shots, but your defense is just locked down. Like no in rotation, you're communicating, you're not making mistakes. What's up? It's just you have to appreciate it and you have to give flowers where flowers are due. Yeah, man, hit the like button, man. The Hayward take is because that's what he'd rather be doing. I'm weak. I feel sorry for him. He's over here in Charlotte just rotting, man. Um, if you subscribe before October 25th, Jazz Plus, you got a free T-shirt and 2 tickets. Wow, that's a smart play. It's a smart play. If I stayed in the area, I definitely would have did that. Not gonna lie. Let's go ahead and look. Yeah, I will say he has the potential still. It's just unfortunate that he's with the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte. Yeah. Yup. Um, Let me see something. Shrink my other screen real quick so I can see all these numbers in front of me. Do you think Hendricks will ever get minutes? I do think so. The thing about Taylor Hendricks is he's in a unique situation where they don't need him. It's kind of similar to I likened to Walker Kessler last year because obviously he didn't start in the first half of the season, but he came on late, and so they played him big minutes later on. Other people have likened him to Abaji and the fact that it took a little bit more from the development standpoint, and even now you see him not starting. So after looking really close at it, I do liken him closer to Ochai because he does have very favorable qualities, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But when you also have Walker Kessler, John Collins, Lowry to go along with Olynyk, you have a really solid four that can play big minutes. They're not going to be very mistake prone. They're not going to make costly errors. So you don't want to really force him into the mix. Now, in certain games, obviously, when we play lesser, like lower competition level teams, then it's going to be more viable for him to get minutes, even in like tougher situations, because it'll make sense. Because even if he makes a mistake, it won't be as costly to the bottom line at the end of the day. Like Keontae, you can play now because he has that 3-point element in his stroke. Not only does it look smooth, but he's actually also hitting it. So it looked good in the summer league. In the preseason, it was kind of like, but starting out these first two games, he's looking good from his shooting split. I think the Hornets will be a lot better without MJ as owner. Yeah, he's a very great player. My GOAT take is I lean LeBron because I just think that if you take for me, the greatest player, MJ is the greatest winner. 6-0 in the finals, undefeated. He's the greatest winner in the NBA. Well, I mean, you could go Bill Russell, but I think the competition is just completely different. But when I think the greatest of all time, I think if I take this player and randomize the rest of the players on the roster, who's going to succeed the most, I lean towards LeBron. But I understand why people pick MJ. I can't press anything about that. But as an owner, he's been dog garbage with the Wizards, and then especially with the Hornets. I still hate that we didn't pay Kemba. I mean, he literally was the only reason we mattered for a long period of time right there. And then we just didn't pay him. It's like, why? He gave you his heart and soul at 6'1", getting clobbered every night. Why? Let's see. Got to expand. There's the Jazz crowd and energy. Come down. I got you. We're going to a game. Man, one of these days, I'm definitely coming out there. One of these days, I'm definitely coming out there. I like Ochai. He can dunk more like he's been recently. There's a fact. Oh, yeah, for sure. He's sneaky athletic, too. Like, most people don't realize how athletic Ochai really is. Good defensive player who can slow down. Those very good guards are valuable. That's why the Celtics got Holiday. Jazz have Ochai done, and hopefully Keontae learn good defense too. Yep, Keontae is in good company. That's why I think it's important for him to be on the court with these guys, but also even being on the bench, he can learn things just from observing these people play. And since it's in their defensive sets, any questions that he has, he can always ask, and there's going to be somebody right there that can answer it for him. And then he's less mistake prone as time goes on. The game was amazing. The game was just beautiful. Yes, sir. E. Daniel. Mm-hmm. Do you think FIBA hurt Kessler's confidence? That is a very good question that I never considered before, Eric. I would say, yeah, a little bit. Now, I'm irritated because I know for almost a fact if Steve Kerr was not as prideful a man as he is, and he didn't want to believe and try and force the system he runs with the Warriors on Jaren Jackson Jr., who traditionally became the defensive player of the year alongside Steven Adams, a true center, because he allowed him the opportunity to roam. You stuck him at the 5 and thought that he was going to be that same type of player, and he just physically cannot do it. If you put Lowry out there, we played a bunch of teams that rebounded significantly better than us because not only did they want it more, but they could afford to be more physical because they had a pure 5 on the floor. And we decided not to play Walker. And it's like consciously understanding that Walker should have played. And if Walker plays, we win more games and we probably take the gold medal irritates me because this wasn't even the A grade NBA player, American born NBA players in the tournament. I do think it affected his confidence just a little bit, but I think that first game of the season when he was passing up those wide open threes, I was getting a little bit irritated because he was wide open, like nobody came out to the three-point line on him. And that's not that after seeing him work on his motion in the offseason and seeing how he shot in the preseason, even though he didn't hit a lot, it looked more fluid. So he has to get more comfortable in game situations, being willing to take the threes now. If we lose 5, 7 games right now over the next 15, it's not going to hit as hard as we're a little past the trade deadline and we lose 5, 7 games in because the playoffs are right around the corner. And that's the time where you're deciding, okay, are we a lottery pick team or are we a 6, 7 seed? Are we a playing team? Are we middle of the pack? Are we top 4? And you can't make the decision to decide to be a shooter then or decide to be confident enough to take a shot, which is why I appreciated him being willing to take the 2 threes that he took today. He split them down the middle, and the one he missed, still it rimmed around and came out just a little bit. So he can hit the 3. I love him taking open ones. Let's see. For me, he's the GOAT because he destroyed the Jazz. That makes me feel better about the losses saying he's the GOAT. I respect that. I respect that. Kelly Olynyk came up clutch. I watched the games with my mom, and Kelly Olynyk is just giving you a heart attack when he touches the floor because he isn't promising. But he came up clutch with those 2 threes. Ochai is a beast. Man, listen. I knew Kelly Olynyk has been a great passer. He's the best passer out of the big men. I would say out of the guards. The best controller of the pace of the offense is Chris Dunn. The person who has slightly more chemistry with everybody and can make easy passes is probably THT. Jordan Clarkson just doesn't really pass. And Colin Sexton has given the ball up more, but he's also slightly turnover prone on his own, which makes it slightly problematic. But I would have to say Kelly Olynyk's passing sense is what makes him so invaluable to this specific roster right now, especially considering that Lowry isn't much. He's a passer in a sense, but he's not as much of a playmaker as you think of like a LeBron. Like I wouldn't even consider him to be the Kevin Durant level playmaker. And Kevin Durant's not known for playmaking, but though he had that one triple double in the playoffs, like not last year, 2 years ago, and everybody went crazy. I was like, okay, LeBron does that nightly. What are we talking about? Ochai's built like a god. He's in great shape. I'm not gonna lie, he is extremely athletic. Let's see. Mom Keontae has the potential to be better than Donovan. I could see that. Now the thing is, I don't know if there's gonna be a point in Keontae's career where he could give you 60 or maybe 50. I think he could have a couple 40-point games at some point. Now, of course, this is his rookie year, so it's pure speculation. Year 3, we'll really know like what he is as a player and probably more realistically what his ceiling is, I think. What do you think of the starting lineup? Will look like by December. If THT keeps shooting poorly, Hardy's going to have to bench him. I would like to think in favor of Chris Dunn because even when Chris Dunn's not hitting, his defense is astronomically better than Taylor Horton Tucker's, and he communicates better on defense for our own players when they're out of position. So in those situations, you need somebody that's going to be a floor general on both sides of the ball. Chris Dunn does that, but these first 2 games of the season, you're not seeing the efficiency that he's known for having, which I think is a little bit irritating. And it's why I can't go out guns blazing, like defending him. Just like with Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton, he's trying. I see him trying on offense. I see him trying to be a better passer and trying to make the right plays. And it's not always there. But the effort has to count for something. And then he's hard-nosed on defense. He's going to pick up a couple fouls, but you're not going to sit there and say, oh, he was bad on defense because he didn't try. No, he's going to try, and you're going to hear him. You're going to hear him shouting the entire time. And anytime he gets to stop, don't let him poke the ball loose because he's going to start clapping. Don't let him poke the ball out of bounds because he's going to get hype. He's going to flex. It's just kind of guy he is. But you love that because that's that grit and extra energy that other people on your team, specifically on the defense side of the ball, feed off of. Let's see. 3-point shooting is beautiful. Yeah, yeah. And that's why he's a playable player. Ochai is 3-and-D player. Last season he hit 45% corner threes, if I remember right. He should take those 3-point shots mainly in the corner. Yes. And I believe, let's see how many. I forgot how many he took today. He only had obviously he only played 12 minutes and had 3 shots. And I know at least I remember vividly one of the threes that he took, and it wasn't a bad miss. He was in the corner. I don't remember about the other one. But yeah, he's definitely a solid corner shooter specifically. Like, yeah, he can shoot threes, but from the corner, he's almost dead eye. We got 15 offensive rebounds compared to their 6. Yes, that was a really big thing. Now, a couple of them were on the same possession, like the one where Lowry was just who missed the shot? Was it I think Clarkson missed the layup. Lowry tries to put it back, misses, taps it again as his arm's getting held down, misses, taps it again with the other hand, and it goes in. Like plays like that, that's just high energy, high intensity shots that you have to make. And it was worthwhile to stay on the floor and just keep dogging it out. And that's just as sometimes it's just an effort thing because offensive rebounds, not a lot of NBA teams are staying there to attack the glass or to get a second chance opportunity. And the fact that we were able to do it and get almost 3 times as many as them, that's what allowed us to keep the lead for as long as we did. And even when we went down, being able to get a quality shot that would keep us either in the match right there neck and neck or put us ahead by a point before the foul calls, which a little bit I did not like. I'm not gonna lie. There was a couple of questionable fouls in there. Now I do understand the refs did not do a bad job this game by any stretch of the imagination. But there was a couple where I was like, I'm letting them play. In that situation, I'm letting them play. There was quite a few calls like that I felt. But it wasn't like you could challenge and win the challenge because there was enough marginal, there was marginal contact which warranted the whistle. Steve Kerr should have played Walker Kessler, undoubtedly. Hope he isn't the coach for the U.S. team in the Olympics. He doesn't know what it takes to win the international level. I believe that he understands the recipe that everybody else has used, but he wanted to try his. There's some people where it's like, there's that one person in the group project or in the friend group where like, yeah, we all do it this certain way and it always works, but they just have to change it. They just have to do something different. And then if it works, they're gonna be like, yeah, that was me. That was my idea. Steve Kerr seems to be like one of those people. Because who built the Warriors before he got there? All the pieces were there for him, basically. Not everybody, but the core was there. He just expanded on what he was given, which makes it significantly easier than building it from scratch, like the Utah Jazz are doing right now. You have Will Hardy, really credit to him, by the way, especially on offense, making sure that his guards are on the same page, calling out the sets and letting them know where they need to go with the ball at times. Because I saw certain times where it would even be Colin Sexton and THT when they would come across the court, where he would tell them to slow. You would see him motioning for them to slow down, and then you would see him just directing traffic a little bit. And then you saw them get a little bit more composed. And that's the sort of thing that you need, especially with a younger team like this. Because sometimes when you have the straight floor view while you're on the court, like even anybody that's even played pickup basketball, when you're on the court and you're facing the rim, the perspective is a lot different from somebody that's on the sidelines waiting to play because you're looking at it from sideways and the spacing is different. You can see a different angle and a different style of the game than even the person that has the ball, no matter how good they are. Let's see. Kelly Olynyk came up clutch. I watched the games. Mom, Kelly Olynyk is just giving you a heart attack. Yeah. Chris Dunn and Sexton have a great ability to steal. Yes, definitely. Bro, that lockdown on PG was amazing. Yes, sir. The 8-second backcourt. Yes, sir. I need a highlight of that. Bro, if if I could if I could have screen recorded on my laptop, I was literally in this. I'm kidding you not. I have the laptop set on my counter while I'm in the shower watching the game because I couldn't afford to miss a minute, but I have an early morning tomorrow. So I'm like, I gotta wash and I have to watch this game. And I saw that count. I was hype. I almost slipped. And that wouldn't have ended well. I'm pretty tall. Let me see. Did you get my message about how to watch the Jazz and Boise? Let me know, Richie. Oh, Richie? That's hard. I've never met a Richie. Now I have. I'm gonna head to bed, man. Keep up the great videos. I appreciate it. E. Daniel. What's your first name, man? I'll just call you Daniel. Let's see. How to get your message. It's hard who we need to cut minutes from or potentially trade. Yeah, that is true because we're in one of those curious situations where so many things can happen and so many guys are playing. You have guys that are playing really well, and then you have just beneath that the guys that are playing up and down, but it's marginally up and down. Like they're all roughly following the same guideline. My fault. They're all following roughly the same guideline, so it's difficult to just sit somebody on the bench because they're all in that same little bracket area. Steve Kerr even said he talked to somebody before he took the Dubs coaching job, and he said he told him asking Coach Steph Curry is being like asked to coach Jordan. Yeah, that would make sense. About FIBA Kerr style didn't work because the rules are different and the refs don't give free throws after every contact they do in the NBA. FIBA let players play defense. Exactly. It's a more physical game out there. Even Victor Wembanyama coming over here, that was one of the big things that he said. It's faster, but it's also less physical, which will benefit him. And as long as he doesn't end up landing on somebody's foot when he dunks, I think he's going to have a pretty healthy career. I think he's going to be able to be one of the greats in the game. He definitely looked a lot better than I thought he would. Like I knew he was going to be good, but when people are like, "Oh my gosh, he's generational. He's amazing," like when they did with Ben Simmons, they did with Andrew Wiggins, and everybody got compared to LeBron James, saying they're the best prospect since LeBron. Okay. Wait, I hear you. I don't see it. They're good. They're a good player, but they're not LeBron. And then you have Victor come out here with his long, lanky behind, poking a ball loose with his left foot on the 3-point line, his right foot inside the free throw line. It's like, bro, what? That's OD. Also, FIBA has a weird, I can't remember what the rule is, but it's something about uh taking the ball off the rim. As far as gold, it's like one of those weird goaltending rules where it's not a goaltend. It would be a goaltend in the NBA, but you can take the ball off the rim and it not be considered a goaltend in the FIBA games. I believe that's what it was. And that also kind of irritated me because we didn't utilize it. We had the ability to, but we just chose not to. Daniel, the East from last one. Oh, okay. Oh, what's up, Daniel? Yeah. All right, man. Get some rest. Steve Kerr did go through somewhat of a rebuild year in the sense that Clay and Steph were injured and they lost KD. You saw the rules of the dumpster fire. Yes. Big facts, Lee. Big facts. You saw the dumpster fire it was. Great game. Thanks, Wraith. Night, Mike. I'll see you, man. Also, FIBA has no 3-second violation. You can stand. That was another one. Exactly. Thank you. You can stand in the paint and have camp out there if you wanted. Bonfire and all is crazy. What are your thoughts about us playing the Suns? Somebody said earlier that Beal is out and Booker is doubtful. If that's the case, the Suns is a winnable game because Kevin Durant being your leading person. Listen, I respect Kevin Durant. Hold up 1 second. Before I get to that, Richie signing off. See you all tomorrow night. Thanks. Appreciate you. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stream tomorrow because I work third shift. I mean, I could in theory stream off my phone, but I don't know if you guys would really enjoy that experience. I don't know. Somebody let me know. But it would be more fun than focusing on my job, honestly. Let me see. Stand in the paint and no 3 points, 3 seconds. What was I talking about? I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. As far as the Suns go, if Kevin Durant is supposed to be leading them to a win, would Kevin Durant be the best player on the court in that game? Yes. Do I think he would outscore Lowry if Lowry plays like he did today? He could, but I don't think he will. That being said, it's a winnable game. It's a winnable game. If any of the big three is out, it's a winnable game, especially playing how they played today. It's a winnable game. Now, the Suns are a deep team, and they have a very much improved bench compared to what they had at the beginning of the offseason. I know I have quite a few Suns fans on my channel, and they don't really like me because I don't believe in the Suns. It's not so much that I don't believe in the Suns. I just see the flaws, and I call the flaws for what it is. I like the Jazz, right? But if the Jazz have an issue with a particular player or a particular style of play or a lineup, I'm gonna call it like I see it. And the difference is when I talk to you guys about it, you guys are like, "Yeah, I see it that way," or "Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I disagree. I think da da da," da," and we can have an intelligent conversation about it. The Suns fans aren't like that, so I kind of dial back on talking about them. But best believe I'm gonna talk about that. Let me see, let me see. But the Suns game is a very winnable game. If we see this Utah Jazz team that showed up today against them, it's a winnable game. Something needs to be said about the NBA IG page posting the Kings Clippers game 6 times, and not posting the JC shot. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. I can tell you now, I'd be here for it, bro. Keontae. Say no more, Lee. Keontae looked pretty decent at defense today. Yeah. Yeah. He was more comfortable on defense. He didn't look as lost and he wasn't rotating poorly. Like when people were barking, when people were not barking orders, but like instructing him positively on where he needed to be, he got to his spots right correctly on the floor. So shout out to him and we appreciate that 100%. Um let's see. Lee, you be down for it? I might have to. I might have to. Chase agree. Ooh, Chase agree with something needs to be said about it. Yeah. Chase and Matthew on the same page. Yep, yep, yep. Don't stream, don't live stream via phone. Take a day off on this platform. You get viewers and your content's good and will gain subs. People worth it. See, it's worth time. True, true. I do see that. I think it depends because tomorrow I have a weird schedule. I might just be on Twitter. Uh I might just be on Twitter or I might make a post actually on YouTube and just chop it up or something. Cause tomorrow morning I have to go to a cross country meet, then I have to go to a wedding, then I go to work. So I don't know. But uh, yeah, I know you got me, Lee. I know you got me, bro. Let me see here. We beat the Suns by 1 last year. This Suns team is a little bit different than last year's, as in their weaknesses are a little bit different. And obviously their strengths are different because they have more potent offense. That being said, they're not going to all, of course, do the same thing that they did before. But I wouldn't be too concerned with it. I wouldn't be too concerned with it. I think especially if Booker's doubtful. Now, if Booker plays and he's a little rocky and shaky, I'm still not super concerned, but it's still going to be a winnable game. Now, if he doesn't play, that's a game where it's kind of like you beat the Clippers with a healthy Kawhi and Paul George and Russell Westbrook. You should beat the Suns. Now, of course, we know this is the NBA and it's basketball is a game of runs. So anything could happen. And Kevin Durant could randomly decide, you know what? I feel like 50 points today. And he could give us 50. But I don't think he's going to. Not at this point. It's not this early in the season. I don't think he's gonna work himself like that. Um Yo, doing Phoenix fans like that. I'm weak. Nah, because the thing is, I gave them praise. I made through I think 3 separate videos. From the beginning, I had a bull interacting with Kevin Durant, and that got me a lot of Suns fans. But that's also my highest viewed video on my channel. I think I'm at 7.8, 7.9K. It's kind of cut down. Finish view, I go to sleep. Rest of the stream, I wake up. Appreciate it, man. I'll catch you tomorrow. Actually, I'm not stream, but if you don't hear for it, appreciate it. You disagree with the Suns fan, they call you a casual. Yes, they definitely call you a casual. Somebody sat there and told me Devin Booker is a very good defender, and his steals from the last postseason proved it. And I sat there and I thought about it, and I was like, "You're a bit slow, aren't you?" And I was like, but before I messaged him back, I was like, let me check to make sure. So I went on the stats page and I looked up who averaged the same amount of steals or more than him. And to be fair, I cut out anybody that played. I believe he played 11 games in the postseason last year before getting eliminated. I decided to be generous and I didn't compare him to anybody that played, 8 games, 9 games, even 10 games. Instead, I compared him to James Harden, who averaged who averaged what, one? He averaged slightly more. Or no, he had the exact same number of steals in the exact same number of games. And I said, so one of two things is about to happen right now. You're going to convince me that James Harden is a great defender, like you're saying Devin Booker is, or you're going to say he's an okay defender. Devin Booker is not a bad defender, but I'm telling you right now, you don't look at Devin Booker and say, "Uh-oh, I better pass the ball." No, especially with the offensive load that he's carrying, he can't afford to exert himself that extremely on defense. Let me see. They said, "Tell my friends about your channel. It's so good." I appreciate it, Tayton. Man, the more people I have, the thing is, I would love, because right now I work 7 days a week. Ironically, I work at a school Monday through Friday, and I coach, and then on the weekends I do security. So I kind of fit in you guys' like the videos and everything right after I get off work and I get home. Go ahead, record the video, and I'll if I have time, I'll edit at work. If not, like if you see me post a video, if it doesn't go up at 2 or 3 p.m., that means I either didn't record the video the night before or I didn't get to edit it in time, which means it's probably going to come up late whenever I end up getting off. But with that being said, I do look forward to the point where I am monetized, even if because obviously the monetization like amounts are a little bit wonky and like realistically, if you want to, I think it's if you want to like live off of YouTube, you have to consistently pull in. I want to say it's like 10K views daily. Obviously, I'm far away from that, but even if I can pull in like 1,000 views daily off my videos, I think that would be a very comfortable spot to see me at. And over the past couple of days, my videos haven't been doing particularly well. It might just be the topic. I think I need to add more actual game footage to my videos. So that's hurting me a little bit. I gotta work my way around the copyright rules and everything like that because I want to be able to get to a point where once I get monetized, I can go and backlog and like turn on the monetization on all the videos. That's neither here nor there. But I do look forward to like dropping the security job honestly altogether and just focusing like YouTube, uh, like doing a lot more consistently, dipping my pockets in like my hands in a lot of different things, I guess. Let me see. It's a huge different. Let's see. Oh, I missed something. Let me go back up here. Good night. Good night, Tayton. Oh man, I just realized. My fault, bro. I missed your good night text. Oh wait, no. You were saying good night to finish. Whoops. Whoops. Do you think Dunn isn't starting so that he has more playing time with Keontae? That is a good point, Chase. That is a very good point. I could see that, honestly. I could see that because I think Keontae playing alongside Chris Dunn, number one, when Keontae makes Georges, it doesn't cost them as much. Number two, when he makes mistakes and he gets his head down, Chris Dunn, I think, is the person he looks the most up to. And the fact that obviously he's older, but he also just they play off of each other a lot. And Chris Dunn is like that veteran presence that he's like, yo, keep your head up. You can make a mistake, but don't quit on me because then you're gonna have to go to the bench. And like just him constantly pepping him up, that could be a good reason why he's not starting. I didn't actually give that much thought until you said that. That would also, and then obviously Chris Dunn being in a late game lineup to a closing game lineup does make sense to me as well. Let's see. Where am I? Huge difference when let's see, a lot of fan bases are wild. It's a huge difference when I'm at a Jazz game and the person next to me is cheering for the other team. They just got no respect. Hey, if you're gonna come to an opposing team's arena, you got to come with that energy. Like, I'm here. I'm here for my guys. What's up? That's just how you got to be with it. LOL. Book is a good defender for steals. Even if it were true, you can get a hand on the ball. James Harden does it. That's what I'm saying. So, like, are steals part of good defense? Yes. Do you have is you averaging 3 steals a game guarantee you're a great defender? No. There was a period of time where Stephen Curry was pretty good at picking off passes, but he wasn't a good on-ball defender. So if you can get a screen, if you can get a switch on the screen and take Curry, you're gonna work him and his ankle supports. You're gonna want to make them things snap. But you know, to his credit, he was averaging a decent number of steals at one point, or I think even still now. But like steal, a lot of steals does not equal great defender. Just like a lot of blocks does not equal great defender. Doesn't mean you're probably a good defender. Probably, yes. Always, no. Guaranteed a great defender? Definitely not. Let's see. For some people, at least, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, I love this channel. Appreciate you, appreciate you, appreciate you. Don't you have a Patreon now? We should all head there too. I do. I just the thing with the Patreon is I don't know. Like with the Patreon, like I have certain videos where like I do specific videos geared towards certain players. My mic is facing away from me. Where I face my fault. Where I focus on a specific player or a specific aspect of somebody's game, but because it's so specific and so niche, not a lot of people care to watch. Like my Jordan Clarkson video that I just posted. I can tell you guys right now, last time I checked, before I started this stream, I was at 76 views, I want to say. So for one, Jordan Clarkson just isn't a very searched player. But like for people that really like Jordan Clarkson, they're probably gonna watch the video. And I appreciate that. Yeah, it's at 77 right now. So it's not gonna be a very great video for me. Um, but like on the Patreon, I would like to do a lot more specific videos. Like like on the main channel, like some people request something very niche, and it's like I would like to do it, but if I post it, that's gonna have to be my daily upload, and I know it's not going to push my channel forward. But if it's on the Patreon and somebody essentially kind of paid for that video, like yeah, it's I think I have a Patreon set at like $3. But like if somebody even if it's $3, somebody could every single day of the month request a specific video. If you're paying me $3, I'm gonna make that video. I don't have the luxury in my life right now to say no to that. And if you want to be that person that does that, best believe I'm making a video and I'm gonna shout you out in that specific video. And I've been thinking about making like a secondary channel where like I just do specific requests. So that way I don't really care if that channel gets monetized. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, cool. I don't know. I'm working through it. Game footage will help. Yeah, no, I think so. You're already so close. What I've been paying attention to. So, yes, I said the one video about Damian Lillard. What was it? How the Damian Lillard trade of increases the stock of Utah Jazz guards. Something to the effect of that. That video, I still got roughly the same amount of views as I do on most of my better Jazz videos, where I was like 1.2K views but I ended up getting 53 subscribers off that video specifically. And most of my videos don't do that well. So I was kind of confused on why that specific one was the one, but I was appreciative. I'm not going to complain. Trust and believe. I'm not going to complain. Let me see. Keontae George seems to play better when he's alongside Dunn, so I figure maybe he's just a team leader of players like Ochai KG. I could see that. That does make sense. Not Curry's ankle supports. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a Curry hater. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. And I saw a video earlier today actually, where it was what's his name? Is it JP3? Is that what his initials are? Yeah, Gary Payton. What Gary Payton and somebody else. They're talking about Curry like they said like a mythical creature. And they were like, bro, the moment you take a second and you think you can take a breath, that's when he's at his worst because he gonna hit you with a cut real quick. 30's different, bro. And I'm listening to him talking. I'm like, yo, they talking to him like he MJ. And I was like, in a sense, he's kind of like that because you can't let him breathe. If your conditioning is not up to par, don't get switched on the Curry. You better hope and pray you don't get switched on the Curry because it's gonna look real bad. Him, ankle supports and all. Now on defense, you might be able to get him back. On defense, you can get him back. But on offense, you better hope and pray he don't see you there and say, hey, come give me that screen. Because if he sends you that screen and you get switched on him, you about to be running. You about to be running for sure. Let's see. Bro, F what you so hard, gang. Like you insightful fuck with the basketball general stuff, especially jazz. Like that, but you still providing for the community. My respect. Oh yeah, appreciate that. Oh, appreciate that for sure, Cam. And the thing is, like, obviously, with me doing this now, it's a thing of I'm gonna go and focus on the content where the most people appreciate it. So where I get the most interaction from people is number one, that tells the YouTube algorithm that these type of people like watching his videos. So if I have a lot of Suns fans, excuse me, if I have a lot of Jazz fans and I post a video about the New York Knicks, it's not going to do well because it's going to push the video towards my Jazz fans who don't watch the Knicks. So I'm going to continue to tunnel in here. And then on top of that, we can have insightful conversations. Like I say this every single time I talk to anybody, but like I can talk to you guys and we can disagree. We can agree to disagree. And you can tell me how you feel in a non-disrespectful manner. And I can say, I'm always going to be respectful about whatever conversation we have. But like, even if I disagree, I'm still going to be like, okay, I explain to me this part. Like, I get what you're saying. I don't agree with it, but can you explain this part right here? You say he's a good shooter, but he shoots this from the field. What makes you think he's a good shooter? And then if you explain it, even if I don't agree, I'll just be like, okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Because that's what it is at the end of the day. That's the big thing about sports. Like you can say certain players are clutch, but what makes a player clutch? Everybody has a different definition. So if you sit there and you just say, LeBron's not clutch. MJ's not clutch. Look at their shooting splits inside of 2 minutes. It's like, okay. What do you define clutch as well? Is it like shots with when the game is tied, shots when you're down, shots when you're up, closing game lineups? Like what is it to you? Like those sort of things. It just kind of it tweaks it and it helps. Um, I like that one. Oh, the Damian Lillard one. Yeah, I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Oh, for real? Oh, if that's the one that did it, I might have to go rewatch that and see what the method was. Curry is an alien phenomenon for an NBA for the NBA. Yeah. Favorite rotation for the Jazz so far. That's an interesting one. Let me see. I'm gonna go. See, it depends on who we're playing. It depends on who we're playing. If we have the time to experiment, I love a backcourt with Chris Dunn and Keontae George. I think it's fun to watch. If not, I low key like seeing Chris Dunn and Colin Sexton on the floor together. Colin Sexton obviously hasn't hit his stride efficiency wise, but defensively, those two will get after it and they will talk their heads off on defense and make sure everybody's in position. Kelly Olynyk has really showed out lately, so I guess that would be that third person. John Collins obviously has to be there, and then I guess Lowry would fill it out. Ochai, I like the rotations that I see with Ochai on the floor because he gets into a lot of situations where he's never going to be in a position where he gets exposed on defense. But he makes the right plays and you don't see him talk a lot on defense, but he seems to always be in the right space to not get beat. And a lot of times that's really what you need in somebody that you're going to have on the floor. Cause we real? Yeah, for sure. On the Jazz video too. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. T-Simp, I think I remember what video because I think you commented if the video that you subscribed to me on, I believe you also commented me to me under. So I think that was the first one, which is why and then your PFP models the adult website. That one adult website that a lot of young men have used at some point in their life. So that's also why I remember you. I'll let you know for sure which one I subbed. I have to look. Oh, for sure, for sure. I like Keontae JC. Oh, Chai Lowry Collins. Yeah, yeah, that's a good lineup. I like that one. Um, I agree with Keontae George and Dunn. I have my quarrels with Sexton, but he's fun to watch when he's on a roll. That's the key thing when he's on a roll. Because the thing is, one of the big reasons why I really started watching the Utah Jazz was because they wanted Sexton specifically. And I've been watching Colin Sexton from back when he stared down Penny Hardaway's son on like that was when I like really was into high school basketball because in my area there was like a certain couple players that looked good, and that's when like you really started watching EYBL and all that sort of stuff was taking off. So at that point, you see him look at a former NBA player's son and say, "Your son," and just stare him down, and then look at the father and say, "Your son is trash. Your son is trash," and proceed to beat him in front of his dad is crazy. And then going to Alabama 3v5. Obviously, they lost that game, but he was a dog the entire way, regardless of what happened. Is he a great passer? No. Is he pretty efficient, like, over the entirety of a season? Yes, but he does tend to have his rough patches, and we're in one right now offensively, but defensively, when he's feeling himself, he's on a roll, and he's always gonna give you that effort, even when he's always gonna have his mouth in somebody's grill, even if they shoot over the top of him. He's not gonna get a block. He said he's a menace. He is low key. He's always gonna have that energy about him. Um, Chris Dunn is a dog. Is a dog. Oh yeah, Chris Dunn is the dog. And it's Chris Dunn doesn't have like he doesn't give you the energy that Patrick Beverly and them do, like from his facial expression. He just looks like a regular dude. Like he looks like somebody you would walk into the grocery store and see almost. Like he just has such a chill demeanor, and he doesn't have like a super crazy fade or some wild hairstyle. He's just got like simple facial hair, and just like a low cut, almost bald cut. It's like okay, bro. And he brings it though every single time. You're not gonna act. You're not. The thing is, when Chris Dunn's on the court, you're not gonna act like he's not in the game. You're not just gonna pick on him like he's only 6'3", 6'4", because he'll play like he's 6'6" when he needs to, and that's the difference. Walker Kessler hasn't made a huge splash in blocking yet, but do you think it's just the NBA being more aware of him, or a result of nerves, or just rusty? Okay, that's interesting. Let me see. Did he have one today? He did not have one today. Who had blocks today? Collins had one. I thought he got credited with two. They took one away? On the graphics on the screen during the game, they had him credited with two, but I guess they took one away. They also said Clarkson had a block, Ochai and Kelly had a block. The thing with Walker Kessler is uh, it's gonna be of some minutes. It's a minutes thing because in this game he even only played 22 minutes. Another thing is the type of situations that we get into on defense. When we play zone defense, he's obviously going to look better because he's going to be at the rim. Now people have a larger sample size of Walker Kessler to look at because he gradually came on last year, but those last like I want to say 30-ish games was when he really got into like his starts. So you're seeing a full 32-ish minutes of this guy, watching him beat everybody's shots. So now you go into this offseason being prepared to plan for him. You have an ample amount of film to go with. So I think they're more aware of him. It's a bit of them being more aware of him and the type of defenses that we're running not being the most beneficial to him specifically as a player, and the ability for him to have that Rudy Gobert-ish type impact. And I think that's honestly why Norman Powell ended up getting off when he did, because there was a couple times where he would hit a blow by, or he would just get the edge on somebody's hip and hold him there right there beside him and then get a layup. And I was like, yo, Walker should be there. And then I look at the five that are on the floor. I'm like, wait, Walker's not even on the court. What am I talking about? But in those types of situations, you would love to have him there just in the middle of the zone to deter people from being willing to take those shots. You don't want people to want to take shots at the rim. You want them to you want them to attempt at times, but you want them to feel like they have to get a shot. If they have to feel like they have to take a floater, we like that a lot better. Anything that's going to require touch, because then it requires more of a visual prowess. And if you have a 7-footer at the rim, both hands up, you're not going to be as comfortable taking that floater because there is that off chance where you feel like you have to give it a little bit more push, give it a little bit more arc because he might get a fingertip on that. What are your thoughts on Lowry averaging closer to 40% on threes this season rather than 37? Okay, so interesting about Lowry. There was one three that he hit. It was, I want to say the Jazz were up two at that point. It was late. It was like 5-ish minutes left in the no. It was before Paul George got subbed in. So I think it was at around the 7-minute mark. It was whatever the case may have been. It was a tight game. He came off of that screen that Walker sets, and his feet, when I see him plant, he didn't look like he was square to the basket. But after they did the replay, I saw that he actually, as he's coming around the screen, he has his hands ready, body facing towards, I believe it was Jordan Clarkson who actually gave him the pass. It was either him or Chris Dunn. And when they swing him the ball, his feet are facing the rim while his body's still out here. And I didn't realize that he was that square lower body. So as soon as he caught it, he contorts as he starts getting into his upward motion, and he squared himself up perfectly on that three that he hit. So his form is looking really fluid. Obviously, it looks fluid just in general to me, But for somebody that tall, it's kind of hard to do certain things without looking awkward. And he doesn't look awkward when he does a lot of things, which I have a lot of respect and appreciation for, obviously. That being said, it's one of those things where it's like if he can, because he took like when I saw he was 5 for 11, I was like, oh wow, he took a lot of threes. And in the first half, I want to say he had 3 out of the first 9 threes that were hit, and we only hit 9 threes against the Kings. So now at this point, him if he can give you double digit threes and hit almost half of them, you love it, right? Because he was 5 for 13. That's 15 points off threes, and that's 38%. That shooting split is better than most teams will shoot from the 3-point line, even in today's shooter league, just because people are becoming better and more advanced at defending the 3-point line. So if he can consistently do that, I love it. But if he's gonna also have a night where he goes 2 of 12, then you start scratching your head a little bit because like, can I live with this? And you saw in that first game, he didn't get off to a good start. And by the time he did get things a little bit rolling, shout out to Kelly Olynyk for getting him those passes that allowed him to do more in his game, and specifically in the third quarter, even though they were down 15, 16-ish points at that point, and it was just trading buckets for buckets back and forth. I think it's still viable to pay attention to the fact that when he gets going, he's going to keep going. But if you see that first quarter and Lowry doesn't look like Lowry, he just looks like your local milkman, it's going to be a rough night for him. Let me see. Y'all said minutes. Yeah. Yeah. Do you like THT starting or not? I'm not too high on it. No, I said last, what was it, 2 days ago when they played their first game? I hated THT starting. I don't hate THT as a player, but I said last time, he's a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And the issue is he's not the best at scoring out of the guards. He's not the best at rebounding out of the guards. He's not the best at defense out of the guards. He's not the least turnover prone out of the guards. He's okay at all of them, but he's great at none of them. And that's the problem with him, because I feel like at times I would much rather have Chris Dunn starting. There's sometimes when Colin Sexton looks very solid defensively, where I'm like, I can live with Colin Sexton going 5 for 12 from the field as a starter. There's times where I genuinely feel like that, where he plays a game like he played today, and I don't even recognize that he didn't start the game because he's playing in the third quarter, giving you, 6, 7-ish minutes of just hard-nosed basketball. And I'm like, that's what we need right now. And Taylor Horton Tucker, defensively, he pisses me off so much. I was a defensively minded player. I'm a defensively minded person when I coach games. So it's a thing of he irritates me when he's not productive on that side, or when people shout to him that he needs to back down. He's too high when he gets to the high post instead of he needs to slide a little bit back so he can rotate better should the ball get skipped to his player. He doesn't listen, and we haven't been exposed for him yet, but there's been too many times where he overhelped, specifically in that first game against the Kings, where he did get penalized for it. But he still got to stay on the court, which mildly irritated me, because if we're going to let somebody make those mistakes, let Keontae make those mistakes defensively. THT's been in the league for too long to make certain mistakes that he makes defensively. Offensively, he missing shots. Yeah, a lot of our guards are missing shots. Chris Dunn's missing shots, and he shot, he had 8 points shooting 85% in the preseason. Now, admittedly, the preseason isn't the greatest, indication of how a player is going to be, but, we have players that are known for being efficient. Colin Sexton shot, I believe, I want to say he shot 40% from three last season. Now, he did only play in like half the games, but still, that being said, we have people that can shoot the ball well. So, but they're not shooting the ball well now. So I can live with THT not being a great shooter right now. He also did give us 8 assists this time, and he had 3 steals. So I'm gonna credit him for his steals because he was a steal leader. We only had 4 other people that had a steal, and only one of them was a starter in Jordan Clarkson. That being said, he ended up having, let's see here, he had 2 turnovers. So his assist turnover ratio was 4-1. So today was a significantly better game than last time, but I still didn't love him starting. 7-foot milkman, yes, sir. I like Chase likes THT, but I wish he shot more efficiently. Yeah, that's the thing. Like THT, he does a lot of things okay, but he doesn't do anything great. And that's my gripe with him, because then he makes a turnover. And okay, so for example, in that first game against the Kings, you saw Chris Dunn get dunked on. You saw the ball get stolen from him and he got dunked on. And then Malik Monk flexed in his face. Well, basically the next possession, uh he picks De'Aaron Fox's pocket and goes and dunked, and Malik Monk ran under the rim. But he didn't flex or do anything extra, no super charismatic anything. He just made the next play. And the thing about THT is if he gives up a three-pointer, he's not typically prone to going back down and being that person that hits the three. But I will say he is looking good from his stroke, and he is sinking most of his threes that I've seen across these 2 games. He was 2 of 5 today, 40 worked at a 40% small sample size, I understand. So probably I'm gonna wait till the 10 game mark before I'm ready to say he can shoot threes, but I will give him the benefit of the doubt and say he shoots better at threes now than he did say last year. I'm willing to go ahead and throw that for him now. Um, Off topic, but I hate the way NBA 2K makes Lowry slow bad. Yes, yeah, it makes him awkward. Now the thing was, Lowry at the beginning of his career wasn't much of a creator for his own offensive back, so I understand how he kind of got left by the wayside. But it's like, bro, he was a freaking all star last year. Like updates, please, something. We can work on face scans, but we can't work on making sure our all stars have the proper play styles and builds. Lock in. Let me see. Good point. Players are getting so much better at closeouts. Yes. We also did a lot better on closeouts this game. Jordan Clarkson specifically in transition, he tends to come back a little bit late when there's a turnover or a rebound, but I saw him sporting a lot more of the choppy feet, like as he gets into a closeout instead of just jumping hand up and flying past the three-point shooter, because we all know that does nothing to mess anybody's rhythm up. Worst case scenario, if you're off the catch, you catch that pass and somebody jumps and flies across your face, one dribble, shoot that three. You're in rhythm now. That's a bucket, and you're open now because he jumped way past. He was in transition defense, so when he jumped, he didn't jump straight up and just land in front of you like 2 feet in front of you. No, he jumped straight up and went 7 feet over to the right. So now he has no way of affecting the shot. And when he comes to jump back across, by the time you jump and get your hand up and you get your shot off, his hand's way down here beneath your chin. He's not affecting the jumper at that point. 7 foot milkman. Yeah. At that point. Now, what's your thoughts on Coach? Bro, I like Will Hardy. I like Will Hardy a lot. Obviously, he's a young coach. Obviously, young as in like informationally wise and just like resume. But last year he did a lot of things well. This year I'm seeing a lot of leadership and like positive control over what's going on the court. And from coaches that don't have like the longest resume, like Greg Popovich, nobody's arguing with Greg Popovich. There's no point because he knows what he does. He does the same thing every time, and that's his known. That's his bread and butter. Steve Kerr is known as a winner, so they respect him to a certain extent, but at the same time, Curry gonna do what Curry gonna do because you want to bench Steph Curry in the games that Steph Curry doesn't play. How many games do you win? What's your winning percentage? There's a whole lot more losses. That winning percentage is not good. But that being said, Will Hardy has the respect of his players. And on top of that, he also makes sure that he makes the quality decisions personnel wise. I don't love all of them, but he also doesn't make too many super costly mistakes that really irk me. Like later on in this game, I saw Keontae George playing and he wasn't great on defense. And I believe he got scored on twice in that fourth quarter, like towards that second half of it, when the game was really getting to a nail biter. I was like, I like Keontae George as a player. He does need valuable minutes, but I don't think this is the game for him specifically. I want this win. I want this win more than I want his experience in this game. And I was like, if I'm Will Hardy, I'm going to sub him out and I'm going to put somebody that's more of a lockdown on the court. Because right now the offense isn't going and we're not swinging the ball to Keontae to shoot a three right now. So he's kind of not, I'm not going to say he's useless to be on the floor, but he's just soaking up knowledge while not pushing the needle. And sure enough, they subbed him out. And I believe they put, because Jordan Clarkson, I think at the time was the other guard on the floor. And I believe they put Chris Dunn on the court for him. And I was like, that's the defensive upgrade. So even though Chris Dunn didn't shoot well from the floor this game, defensively in a late game situation, you would love to have Chris Dunn on the court. And then on offense, even if he doesn't take the shot, he's going to make sure you guys don't rush the shot. And like late in the third quarter, early in the fourth quarter, there was a span of like 8 minutes where we hit a couple threes in the beginning, but we got 3-point happy. And that's what happens with a lot of teams now. Like you hit a couple threes, and then it's like, oh, we're hitting, we're hot. Let's go. Let's get those. Offensive rebounds, kick it out. Get that three up. And it's like, bro, if you're up 7 points against a really good team that technically should be have the edge on you, burn a little clock, get you a quality shot off. And that way, even if you miss, you burnt 20 seconds off the clock, and they're not going to be fresh legs going down on offense. You don't want somebody with fresh legs on offense. Defense, make them work. Make Kawhi Leonard work. Make Paul George work. Because Paul George, when he's not working, he gonna come down the court, and you saw at the top of the key, size up between the legs twice, hit that three from like 30, 31, 32 feet. Because he has the energy to do that. Um, Last game, I didn't like how he didn't really make many adjustments to the defensive scheme. Like, bro was running the modified zone for way too long. Yes, I would agree with you in that part. Part of it was also you can't play certain roles for your players. And that's why last game really made me dislike THT, because there was too many times on defense where we're giving up open threes. So you cannot over help on somebody else's man if your man is going to be shooting a three. And we got cooked on three-pointers because of boneheaded mistakes where people thought they could overhelp and the ball got kicked to their man. And they were like, oh, if I get a light contest, he's still going to miss. He's not a great three-point shooter, but he hit the three. And there's only but so many threes you can let somebody hit before you're like, okay, I have to honor this. I can't leave him because he's hitting now. And that's what happened with Harrison Barnes in the first half. He hit 4 of his 5 threes were completely uncontested. Like no player within, I want to say it's like, I think it's like 4 feet of them and considered wide open. And that was the case for him. And that was just irritating. But the adjustments could have I would have liked to see him throw a little bit more out, especially since the game was all but lost after the first half. But I did like to see the different lineups, because he didn't change the defense so much, but he changed the pairings of players. And I like seeing that extra film and just rotational minutes from certain guys, because then you can see how they interact in certain situations, whether it be a pick and roll, whether it be, just somebody getting backdoor cut, whether it be making sure you keep your eyes on your man and communicating and talking on defense and seeing who works well best when they're in a pick and roll situation, when they're on offense, when they're on defense, whatever the case may have been. I think he did a good job of that, but defensively, he just wasn't the most sound as far as like getting out of that zone, because the zone wasn't working. And it's like, at that point, switch it up, throw a different look out there. It's not going to work anyways. You're down 16, but try something. This is the game where, like, if you're getting blown out against a good team that's going to definitely be in the playoffs, do something, anything. But he seemed to adjust well this game, which was really good to get his stuff. Oh yeah, for sure. Cam, yes sir. Chase, we're on the same page. Oh yeah, we took way too many. No, or 1 pass threes. Yes, most definitely. We need to pass to spread the defense, spread the D, and get a quality shot. One of the reasons why I like Kelly Olynyk was more out there in place of Walker. Yes, Kelly Olynyk is also a very underrated decision maker. Like, yes, he's a good passer, but the difference between an okay passer and a good passer and a great passer is the level of decisiveness when you make a play. The issue I have with THT is sometimes his brain, like the gear seem to be turning slow. Like, it's taking him a second to decide what he wants to do. And then once he decides on it, he does make the pass, but it's like he would have been 3 feet, a foot and a half more open if as soon as you saw him, you got that pass off. And Jordan Clarkson needs to move the ball a little bit more. Like this game, he was 4 of 13. He obviously hit that three that won us the game, but he had a lot of plays where he took a shot that he should not have taken. And the one time I believe he goes, dribbles around the rim, doesn't do a reverse, keeps going, comes back to the center of the paint, bobbles the ball, and then it got popped out to the man on the wing, and he hit the three. But it's like he should have given that ball way early. When he curls around under the rim and doesn't decide to take that layup, he needs to kick it out to the man that's either in the corner on the opposite side or on the wing on the opposite side. He did neither. But Kelly Olynyk is definitely one of the best big men at being decisive in his pass. He's not known for really having too many turnovers, despite being a great passer, which is really great to have, and we need that. And that's something that Kelly that Walker Kessler does not bring to the game, which makes all the difference. Can't go shot for shot when we're shooting 400% from the field and they're shooting close to 70, literally. And that's one of the things that I always say, like, if you're not going to hit a lot, if you know you're in a slump and you know you're not hitting shots and you can't buy a bucket, make them work. If you're going to miss anyways, make them work on defense. So when they come down, they're more likely to miss. If you sit there and you just jack a three, they're not concerned at all. Like they're just shrugging their shoulders at you. And then once you brick, and it's especially when we got killed a little bit at one point by long misses, because you would have Lowry under the rim, or you would have Walker under the rim, or you would have Olenek under the rim, or Collins. But the miss would be long and it would go to the top of the key. And usually at the top of the key, if our guard is outside the 3-point line, the person that's just beneath the 3-point line is the guard defender for the opposing team, which more often than not ended up being Westbrook. Sometimes it would be like PG or Bones. But when they get that ball right there, that's a fast break right there. Then there's no need to put yourself in that predicament, especially when you're only up 8 points against a team that really could, on a different night, be up 8 points against you. But we've won 11 games straight against them at home, which I found to be really impressive. So it's a little bit more even keeled than I thought it would be. Mm. Exactly. THT is valuable. Length should be a pretty pesky defender, but he doesn't seem aware enough or just even simple as putting enough effort into chasing down and catch and shoot. Yes. THT, he has the build to not get bullied by the bigger guards and to clog up the passing lanes against smaller guards. The issue is, I feel like his level of just awareness when he's on the court seems to be kind of lower than I would like it to be on defense. To the point where even like I said earlier, when people shout at him where he needs to be, he doesn't move. And it's like, bro, if you're going to miss shots on offense, you have to give me something on the other side of the floor. You can't go 0 for 2. I need 1 of 2 or I need 2 of 2. 2 of 2 is great. If you can give me 1 of 2, and the other one you're trying to get going, but it's not there, that's perfectly fine. But you have to be able to do something. And Kelly won't miss a layup. I love that. Yeah. Kelly Olynyk makes it right. He also screened out for John Collins one time when we really needed a bucket. We were down 3 because somebody hit a 3 to put them up 3, I believe. And the ball got kicked out off a miss. John Collins comes down the lane, and you see Kelly just screen out at the last second. He didn't completely screen him out like entirely, but he shielded him to the point where as long as John Collins took his first step a little bit further, he's home free. And that's what he did and got a layup. I wanted him to dunk it, but he laid it, and I was okay with that. Yeah, THT takes way too much time to make a decision. Quinn Snyder had a great 0.5 rule. The decision before you get the ball, so you can make the decision in 0.5 seconds. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Along Mrs. Killis, yep. I only give THT the edge over Sexton or Dunn because of his body and weight. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The length makes a difference a lot of times, but he has low IQ and his build and height doesn't make up for that, in my opinion. Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like a lot of people take issue with paying bigs the likes of like Rudy Gobert because like, yeah, he gets a lot of blocks. Yeah, he alters a lot of things. But if you get him out on the perimeter, he's kind of cooked. But the thing about having somebody like him is because he's so long, he can afford himself so many more mistakes that smaller players simply cannot. If you have, somebody the height of Kyrie Irving, not Kyrie specifically, of course, but somebody the height of Kyrie Irving at 6'2", and you have like say John Collins guarding them, you have a little bit more of a length gap to where you can get if he hits an in and out and you slide in the way of the in and out, you have a little bit more of a recovery period to where your length can compensate for the mistake that you made. And while Taylor Horton Tucker kind of has that, his mistakes at sometimes are so egregious that the gap is just too wide. And that's one of the biggest issues that he's going to have going forward. And why partially to start games, I don't love having him on the floor. Today it paid off because obviously the best quarter, despite being the second quarter, overall the first half was pretty good looking. And he was a big part of that. And having played 26, almost 27 minutes tonight, you have to give credit where credit is due. He didn't have a lot of turnovers. He gave you 10 points. The efficiency wasn't there. It was 3 of 10, but he was 2 of 5 for 3. So you have to respect the 3-point that he had. He was okay rebounding. He did have 3 defensive rebounds, and he had 8 assists. So he was distributing the ball better for sure than he was last game. Let's see. You said who's your favorite shooter, and who do you think we can afford to lose besides THT? Favorite shooter on this roster? I'm not gonna lie, Keontae George looked really good. He looked really good. On this roster though, give me because of the large sample size that Lowry's putting together, I'm actually gonna lean towards him. If John Collins did not go 1 for 5 this game, say he went 2 for he if he went 3 for 5, I would lean John Collins actually because his corner threes are really good. I don't want him camping in the corner on offense. That's my thing. He's too athletically gifted and talented in pick and roll situations for us to sit there and camp him in the corner like the Atlanta Hawks did. That's why we got him for a bag of corn chips and a mothball because they weren't properly utilizing him. And then also with his finger injury, his shooting splits before the All-Star break weren't good. He was shooting like what I said in the video, 24%, 25%, 24%. And then after the All-Star break, he shot 37%, but he just took less threes. So at the end of the year, he shot 29% from three. He's over here and he's going to hit his threes. I think I'll peg him closer to 36% on the season. If he gets closer to 38, I would love it. But I think we're going to see a few nights where he does go 1 for 5. But I'm not going to be mad at that. I'm not going to be mad at that because he's capable of doing it. And he's also not just going to sit there. If he's shooting bad from the 3-point line, he's not going to kill you. But if he's open, he knows that he consciously has to take that three in order for the defense to be willing to honor it. And as long as he hits one every single night, they're going to honor it and they're going to at least hedge out a little bit. They're not going to camp in the paint like they did on Walker when we played Sacramento because that's what they did. And then Walker wasn't even willing to take a three despite having 20 feet of space between him and the next closest player. But today he did shoot two, hit the one, other one rimmed in and out. So yeah. My favorite shooter, I'm gonna go off when hot. I gotta go Lowry because of sample size. I like Jordan Clarkson when he's feeling himself. Cause like at the end of the game, he was feeling himself because there was no reason for him to take that three. Now, it worked because it's a good shot because he made it. There's a lot of situations like that in the league or at any level of basketball where some people take a bad shot, but you can't call it a bad shot because it went in. Now, if it was just a trick shot and they just like heaved it up in the air and it goes in, then I would still say that's a bad shot. But like if you take a traditional form jumper or you're fading out of bounds and you take that shot and your form looks clean, I don't say that's a bad shot. You shot the ball when you thought it should go up and it went in. Therefore, it is a good shot. Now, if you shoot as you're falling out of bounds and you airball, that's a bad shot. And it also depends on who the player is, of course, because some people should just shoot better from the field. So if Curry has one night where he goes, 1 of 8, you're definitely going to see it being more widely accepted because that's not a normal night for Curry. Now, if you see like freaking Clint Capella shoot 5 threes in the game and he goes 1 for 5, you're gonna be like, bro, why was he shooting 5 threes this game? He can't shoot. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things. But yeah. Any more thoughts? Let me see here actually. I agree. I think George's my favorite player right now. No reason. I see a lot of good in him. It just needs time to develop. Yeah, Keontae George is definitely showing a lot of promise. I'm gonna go ahead and say I wasn't as high on him specifically as a lot of people were coming into the season, just because I know summer league looks really good, but the preseason for him was like an audition because like, how are we gonna do against actual people that actually play night in and night out? Even if they sit on the bench and get 12 minutes, that's a real NBA player. He's getting paid millions to do this. The people you played in the summer league aren't getting paid millions right now. Some of them are fighting to get paid millions. Some of them will never get paid millions. So I think right now is like that learning curve for him to get better as a player overall. And I like what I'm seeing so far and the confidence is there. I think that's another good thing about like Chris Dunn. Even though he hasn't been shooting great from the field, he's right there with Keontae, and he's affording Keontae the opportunity to grow. To grow as a rookie's gonna make mistakes. There's not too many rookies besides you have your like I don't know like your Tim Duncans, your LeBron James, like those guys. Like they come in right off the rip, they're going to work, and a bad night for them, they shoot 38% from the field, but still give you 25 still give you 27, still give you 8 rebounds. Keontae George is making a couple mistakes, but the learning curve is he has a bigger learning curve because there's a lot more guards that can do damage on this roster, but he's also capitalizing on the opportunities that he has right now. thank you for this live. I regret not watching last one. No, you're good, Lee, man. Hey, you're here now. That's what matters. That's all that matters. Um, One thing I do want to touch on a little bit the Clippers numbers. Robert Covington obviously started had 19 and a half minutes, only shot the ball 3 times, 1 of 3. All of them were three-pointers. Kawhi took 10 3-pointers in this game and hit 4 of them. 10 of 22 overall from the field. So he was 6 of 12 inside the arc. So 50%. He was, though, 1 of 3 from the free throw line, which I was not anticipating. Late in the game, he did end up missing that one where he curled off the left wing and came to the right side of the basket and like bumped off John Collins and like flailed in the air. And they I want to say they challenged it. Did we challenge it? I- Yes, we challenged it because that was the one that where we lost our challenge for the rest of the game. So where the Clippers already lost theirs, but the Jazz, Will Hardy decided to challenge that specific play, but because John Collins' body was moving slightly forward when the contact was made, they still had to honor the foul call. Like that one, he missed his first free throw, and I loved it. I was like, in my head, I was like, "Ball don't lie, ball don't lie," and I don't say that often, but that was one of those times where I definitely agree with it. Um, Zubac, I said that it will be a better matchup for Walker specifically playing against Zubac because there's not a lot of things that Zubac can do well. He screens, he finishes at the rim, not really much of a shooting touch, has a little bit of a hook. That's about it. He did have 2 blocks though. Only 2 personal fouls, but he played 19 minutes, 19 and a half minutes. 3 or 6 from the field, missed both his free throws. That one time Lowry got called for a foul. I want to say late in the game. And it was like it might have been like 4-ish minutes left, 3-ish, 4-ish minutes left. But I think it was Lowry that got called for a personal foul. Either him or John Collins. And like they were genuinely confused. And I disagreed. I kind of saw a little bit of contact that could have made the ref blow the whistles, but to me, it was just like let the boys play. But he went to the free throw line and missed both free throws. So I was like, hey, that's a good foul. If you foul somebody that was going to make the dunk, and they go 0 for 2, even if they go 1 for 2, if he was going to dunk the ball, a dunk is almost the most it's the most surefire way of getting the ball to go in, especially as a big. As a guard, obviously, life happens. But as a big, a 7-footer, that dunk is going in. That's 2 points. So if he goes 1 for 2 from the line, we'll take that. We won that possession. If he goes over 2 like Zubac did, we love it. Paul George obviously was the best player for them in this game, 36 points, 15 for 15 from the free throw line. He was pissing me off every time he went because I was hoping he missed one. He would not miss. He was 3 of 9 from the three-point line, so not bad. Shot one less than Kawhi, also made one less. 9 of 17 from the field, 52.53% basically from the field. Had 4 rebounds, 1 assist. Kawhi had 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Zubac, obviously, ironically enough, in the 19 and a half minutes he played, he only had 2 boards. Kawhi had 3 out of their 6 offensive rebounds himself in 36 minutes, almost 37 minutes. Russell Westbrook obviously did Russell Westbrook things. He only shot 4 shots in this game, which I thought was a little bit surprising. I thought he was going to shoot 6 or 7. He was 2 for 4, missed the 1-3 he took. I don't think it was a good miss. If memory serves me right, it was not a good miss. But his energy was there. He was there defensively. He did get completely destroyed on defense. Obviously, he played he played the second most minutes of anybody behind Paul George and 4 seconds longer than Kawhi. So basically, yeah. He had 9 rebounds, 1 offensive rebound, 4 assists. He did have 5 turnovers though, and 4 personal fouls. So this was not his best showing. Shout out to our guards, Chris Dunn. THT actually did pretty good guarding Russell Westbrook. I'll give him that. Obviously, Westbrook doesn't have the same shooting touch that some guards do, so that makes things a little bit better. And then, that was the one. That was the one because Keontae, it was late in the game before he got subbed out for Chris Dunn. You saw, what's his name? You saw Russell Westbrook try and hunt him at the top of the key, and he drives in, and Keontae slides his feet perfectly, but he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. But he didn't care. Like after they blew the whistle, he was clapping it up because to him that was like him standing his ground. And I think those are moments where Keontae is really gonna grow going forward because when you play star players, people that are like all-time greats and will be in the NBA Hall of Fame, When you play those guys, you cannot back down. Like, yes, they were your idol at some point in your life, but as a grown man now, you have to be willing to stand on business. And he stood there. He did get called for the foul, but he showed Westbrook, I'm not gonna let you lay me out. I'm not gonna let you blow by me. I'm gonna be right here. And if I get whistled for the foul, it is what it is. But if not, you're gonna have to earn it every time you come at my chest. You're gonna have to hit me square in my chest and make me roll over. And I love that. Let's see. Going forward, we had Bones Highland 5 of 10, 2 of 5 from three. Norman Powell was 2 of 4, shooting 7 of 10 from the floor. Most of those were at the rim, though. 2 rebounds for Bones, 3 for Powell. They both had an assist apiece and a steal. Bones had three turnovers, but he only scored. They both not great, but they both only had 2 personal fouls. You know what I'm saying? And then Norman had a 20 piece, and Bones gave him 12. So the bench unit was pretty solid for them. Mason Plumlee gave them 12 minutes of action. I like if I'm a Clippers fan, I like the minutes I got out of Mason Plumlee. He did only take one shot. He hit it. Was 1 for 2 from the free throw line. Had 4 boards. Solid production out of him. 3 points, 4 boards. He did have 2 fouls in 11 minutes, 12 minutes, which isn't great, but Mason did Mason things. And then you had Nicholas Batum, who came off the bench and played 30 minutes. Like, you had Robert Covington starting, but you had Nick Batum playing more minutes playing 10 extra minutes off the bench more than him. 3 or 4 from the field, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. I want to say his 1 field goal inside the arc was actually a dunk, if my memory serves me right. He had 2 boards to go along with 3 assists, a steal. He had 3 blocks. Wow. He had 3 blocks. Nick Batum was locking up at his medium 30 age. He was locking up low key. He also did, though, have 4 personal fouls, but 8 points overall. So I'm not terribly irritated if I'm the LA Clippers. Definitely wish you would have got this one, but you're not overly pissed that you did not. You just wish you could get more out of Russell Westbrook specifically on offense. Let me see. I think it's stupid. Kawhi's shoulder made contact with John Collins and his natural inclination to lower yours in arms when you get punched in the chest. Yeah, it's a reflexive thing. PG-13 was 60. That's what I'm saying, man. Well, the player that makes contact should be a foul on that player, but the NBA is all about protecting the offensive player or 15. Yeah, to me, it's a let them play, let them ball. I loved it because Kelly Jordan's favorite player is Westbrook too. Oh, that didn't even occur to me in that moment. I just loved the energy he was given. Yeah, that clap made me scream with excitement. I like that energy. What's your thoughts on Simon Fontecchio and Lucas? Not a big fan. They're very niche rolled players. I'll say that. They have the ability to be solid role players. To me, they're never going to be stars in the league. That being said, they can be very well-rounded contributing pieces because they're more of I call them technicians. So they have a very specific role. Maybe they're great at shooting, maybe they're great at rebounding, maybe they're great defensively, whatever the case may be. They don't have an overall rounded game like THT does. They're just able to specifically narrow in and be a great shooter, particularly off the catch. Maybe one of them's better off the dribble. Maybe one of them's better just offensively, but they have no defensive bag whatsoever. But whatever the case may be, I do think those two in particular, they're niche type players. And as long as they continue to develop, they will eventually find a couple minutes in the rotation, but I don't expect them to ever be at a point where they're playing 25-ish, 30-ish minutes a night. At the very least, not on the Utah Jazz. I personally like those guys, but I'm okay with them being last minute players. Yeah, they're going to be, for at least definitely this year, they're going to be on the side of the realm where it's like they get what they get, and you get what you get, and you don't pitch a fit. So whatever they can accept, they're going to take. Let me see here. Fontecchio is a shooter that can't shoot. Horrible D2. He leases man all the time. I'm not gonna lie. He's not particularly good on defense. He did have a couple threes though that he hit that looked really good. His form is nice and fluid, but like I said, he's a very last minute type player. He's not somebody that like he's not the guy when you scan the bench where you're like, oh yeah, put that guy in. He's not been that guy. He's never going to be that guy. Um I'm a Clippers fan. I'm mad the clock didn't have another few seconds. This game goes into OT. Jazz lose hands down. Gotta say about Bell, bro, but I'll take it. Man, look. Good offense, better defense. That's what it was. Who knows what happens to defense in OT? In OT, I'm not gonna lie, the Clippers might have it. Cause like if the Jazz go into halftime down, they don't come back to win that game. I don't believe because we lack the star power to have that last 4 or 5 minute push to give us the lead. I feel like we're a team right now that's constructed to where you play the game good at the beginning and you play just good enough in the third quarter to maintain it. In the fourth quarter, make sure you close it out. So that being said, going into overtime, especially with the Clippers, considering the playoff experience that Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have, and even Russell Westbrook, I'm giving them the edge in that one. Maybe win by 4 in OT, honestly. So if I'm a Jet, but that being said, they also wanted a 3 because obviously you want to win the game. Now, me, if I'm the Clippers, I feel comfortable winning that one in overtime. So I probably would have schemed up a play to get us into overtime so that we can close it out in overtime. I wouldn't have tried to hunt for a 3. And at the beginning, Kawhi definitely was hunting for a 3, and he missed it. Last season we were a huge second half team. We cut 15-point leads every game, and it felt like it was a lot. Yes, that's also a thing. Basketball is a game of runs, and I think last year's roster transition to this year. Now, of course, things could definitely change, and they could just end up the exact same way as last season, where they can spring off 10, 12, 15 points on you in a very quick run, a quick 5-6 minute run, whatever the case may be. But as it stands right now, I'm not seeing that second half punch, that second half gut punch just yet. How much time do you think Taylor Hendricks will play? Do you think it's possible for him to obtain a role in casual playing? Looking at let me see the guys that did not get action today. We're looking at Fontecchio, Hendricks, Samanik, Sensabaugh, and Yurt 7. Huh. Interesting. Okay. So out of the guys that didn't play, Fontecchio and Luca are both at the end of the line. So if a trade was made guard-wise, I could see Taylor playing more minutes because right now, Will Hardy has the opportunity and the luxury of playing guard-heavy lineups whenever he wants to because he has a lot of guys that can do similar things. If it was reduced a little bit, then you could see him playing more minutes. I think that he will find his way kind of into the rotation just a little bit, but I think he's going to be seeing like Keontae George's minutes. Keontae today played exactly 12 minutes. It would not surprise me if when he got in, since he does fit less of a need for the Jazz, I could see him playing probably 9 to 11-ish minutes on a nightly basis. I think Keontae is going to work his way up to, at the very least, playing like 15 to 17-ish on the low end. And that's under the expectation that he doesn't see like just a random development jump in practice and then just come out the gate spraying in a game. Who do you like the Jazz to eventually trade for? I was realistically thinking of Tyus Jones, but Zach LaVine could be a dream. The issue with Zach LaVine is you need a floor general. If you're going to trade for a guard, you need a floor general. And I don't think Zach LaVine is that because this is the thing. For the Bulls specifically, I like the Tyus Jones trade, and I think he could push. He's one of those guys that for the Jazz's lineups and for the type of just roles that guys have and the type of bill that they have, he fits the culture. He fits the bill. But low key, I said this in the last stream, I would like to see Lonzo Ball. Like a healthy Lonzo Ball, would I trade THT and a draft pick or two? Or send at that point, if Colin Sexton doesn't pan out, I would see it. Yeah. Do you miss I miss Mike Conley a little bit. Yeah. Because he was that guy. Now, Lonzo Ball, hard-nosed on defense, not knockdown, lights out, 3-point shooter. Isn't really gonna drive to the rim like that. Doesn't take contact well. Obviously, his ankles are made of glass as well, similar to the Curry situation. But hopefully, when he comes back from this injury that he's ailing from, he looks good. A lot of people were counting him out, saying he's not going to play basketball again. That would piss me off so much because to me, Lonzo, like even his Chino Hills days, he looked like he was changing the game of basketball with his go ahead passes. Like as soon as he gets that board, if you leak out, because that's the type of player I was in pickup, even in high school, even playing college, like intramural type thing. It's like if you get open and I get that board and I see you down the court, I'm not leaving you. I'm not leaving. I'm not gonna make you run the floor and sprint your behind off every single possession and not pass you the ball. I have to, because that stretches out the defense, and then we're not getting clogged in the backcourt. They're not gonna trap in the backcourt because the moment they do, that means somebody's open down there, and that means I'm going to make that pass. Now, for Lonzo specifically, I think that seeing Lonzo on the court, imagine Lonzo grabs a board and like John Collins is sprinting down the floor, or Lowry sprinting down the floor. A full court lob, even just a three-quarter court pass leading into that dunk. Nasty. Or to Ochai. Ochai, since he would be the shooting guard, obviously he would be on the wing, so he would be the first guy to leak out on a rebound. That would be great. And Lonzo's also so disciplined. He has that Chris Dunn demeanor where he gets the job done, he doesn't talk. He's not going to shout at you when he dunks on. If he gets a dunk, he's not going to shout. If he makes the right pass, he's just going to get back on defense. He doesn't do a lot of things. He might do a little celebration with his hands after hitting a clutch three, but that's it. And that's also if he's healthy. Because if he's healthy, we're getting borderline elite defense. Now I don't know how reliable he's going to be on defense considering the type of lower body injury he's dealing with. But even if he's slightly better, let's not act like the Bulls aren't the best team in the East 2 years ago if Lonzo was healthy. Literally, no. I'm with you on that, Lee. Yeah. I know you're not directing that at me. Like Lonzo, literally, when he played, the Bulls were an entirely different team. Because when you look at that Bulls roster, you think that they were a great offensive team because they have Vucevic, they have DeRozan, they have Levine, but they would be a god awful defensive team. But I think last year they were a really great defensive team, like borderline top 10 or top 10 for sure. And then offensively, they just couldn't get things going. And it's because Lonzo Ball did so much for them that they can't do on their own. They can't create their own shots, like as far as from a team building standpoint. They can't play make for each other. And Lonzo did that so well because Lonzo doesn't want Lonzo's shot. If you kick it to Lonzo and he's on the wing and he's got the separation, he's gonna shoot it. But he's also like, man, I got like 8 points. I'm cooling. And he's gonna make that pass to the guy that wants the shot. That's the player that Lonzo is. And that's the player that I think the Jazz will really benefit from having because Jordan Clarkson, he likes to dribble and he likes to get his shot off. But man, tell me Jordan Clarkson gets a pass off a pin down, comes curling over the top, and Lonzo between the legs, swing it over to him. Jordan Clarkson not gonna make that three. Jordan Clarkson hitting that three. Ochai's coming off a pin down. He's gonna hit that three. You know what I'm saying? Keontae George, he's gonna hit that three. Heck, Chris Dunn might even hit it. Colin Sexton might even hit it. It's just one of those things where like I feel like him specifically, while he is obviously ailing right now and he's not playing at all this year, if a low value trade could be made for him, I would love to see it. That and the Bulls just don't seem to be going anywhere, and they don't seem to want their organization doesn't seem to want to go anywhere. Like their front office, I haven't seen them make any significant moves. So let us have Lonzo. Just a thought. I don't know. I could be wrong. You know what I'm saying? I think they were 8th or 9th. Yeah. It's time for Danny Ainge to do his magic and buy low on another player and get Lonzo on our roster. Man, I would love to see it. Vesper, is that the first time? No, that's not the first time you dropped in the chat. I was about to say, you been in his whole time, buddy? I'm worried about Lonzo and his recovery. No professional NBA players come back from his injury. It's a reason D Wade went from no.